This is going to be my story. So hi everyone, and today's episode is going to be different than all the others. It is just going to be me, or maybe me and parts of me and myself that I tried to hide for years. It is not going to be a polished story. It's going to be an honest story. It's going to be a messy story, a real story, and a really personal story. But when it helps just one person to feel less alone or heard, it is going to be worth it. So, get my breath. Let's go back to the day that my life completely changed. Then the reason, of course, why I'm doing this now. It's the day of my car accident and how my physical injuries, my traumatic brain injuries reshaped my understanding of my life and things like resilience and toughness. Words that used to mean to me work hard, push through, grind, keep going. After my accident and all the complications it brought with it, it meant surviving moments. Moments like taking a shower and not forgetting how to breathe. Sounds crazy, right? But also tiny wins and celebrating them, like remembering my best friend's name or the name of my mom's cat or the day of the week or even the month. Resilience and toughness just became less about the grit and more about the grace. And one of the other invisible struggles of traumatic brain injury and of my traumatic brain injury was word finding problems and feeling of losing your mind and voice is so horrible, and it literally changed how I talk and communicate until this day. So let me explain what I mean. Imagine knowing exactly what you want to say. There's just one but. Your brain hands you a blank piece of paper and you can't find a word. I would want a Portobello and say in my mind, mushroom-Goblin-pasta. And this was the way I needed to start making mental connections again to figure out that word. And that word was normal to me before my accident. And hopefully that word, Portobello, would pop up in my mind and I could say Portobello. It taught me to take deeper breaths, listen more, and pay attention to the silence between my thoughts and the thing that made up the words. I taught myself the language of touch and to be patient. Until this day, I still have word finding problems, and I still do it in a similar way to try to make connection through other words with my memory. And sometimes I just go online and look up the word. Sometimes I know the English word and I cannot find a Dutch translation. And it's strange and it's different and it's difficult and it's funny because my first language is Dutch. Emotional regulation problems, post-traumatic brain injury, is brutal, by the way. And you first need to understand what was going on, and then only then you could try to learn how to navigate your mood swings, my mood swings, without losing myself. Sometimes, a lot of times, I would just cry. Sometimes in a grocery store, when the peanut butter was sold out, without any warning, I just break out into tears. And that was 2.5, 3 years after my accident. Sometimes even while brushing my teeth, while taking a shower. I could just stand there, brush my teeth, and just start crying and crying and stand there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, not knowing why. And I've learned to embrace those moments and just let it happen, not wanting to know why it happens or happened or is happening, but just let it be. Another part of emotional regulation problems was and is I would absolutely feel nothing. And I still have some of those moments that I feel nothing. I had it with sunsets in Mexico. I had it with kids riding a bike and hurting themselves. So I truly had to relearn emotions like a toddler. Nothing, nothing, not understanding, not feeling. I had to rename things, retrace the roots of where it comes from, and try to find my numbness. Frustration, guilt trips, feeling ashamed, inadequacy, it's all part of it. And one of my anchors during those times and years is and became breathwork. And within the chaos of my mind and my feelings and my recovery, my mind often felt like a scrambled puzzle, an upside down puzzle. Edges, jacket, nothing will fit. You can't see the picture. And then after 3 years, I went to India and found pranayama. And it became one of the practices that slowly but gently helped me to put the pieces back together again. So, one of the anchors, one of the breathwork practices is for me, I called it 142. And it's a lifeline, and I grabbed it and I grab onto it anywhere, everywhere, in the middle of the street, in a crowded supermarket, crossing a bridge in India. It doesn't matter where, I just stop that in my track. I hold on to something. It could be the railing, it could be a shopping cart, it could be the wall. And I sometimes just stop and stand there. And I would close my eyes and reclaim control of my breath and just start breathing. And I would inhale for 4 seconds and say, I am here. Pause for 16 or hold and say, I'm strong. I am powerful. And then exhale again for 8 seconds and say, I feel and I am safe. And for some of you, 16 seconds of holding the stillness in the breath might sound impossible, but that pause, it taught me to trust my body and my resilience and be in the now. And the exhale, it just touched my nervous system. Like, you can do it. You can let go now. And we repeat the cycle and repeat it again and again and again and again until the storm inside of me settled or settles, and the doubt screaming out loud, you are broken, faded to the truth I feel now, and the place you feel now, you are rebuilding. And this process could and can last for 10 minutes. It can also last for 2 minutes, but it always helps. It helps me. So maybe try. Breath work wasn't just and isn't just a smart technique. It is and it was a rebellion against the chaos in my body. And it always says, even here, even now, I am still in control. Other parts of my recovery are moments that post accident, where I felt completely defeated, and moments I thought like, how can I crawl back from the darkness, and why is it still taking me back? And it's so day, and that it was a day that I will never, ever, ever forget. And that was the day of my son's birthday. I knew it. I knew it was his birthday. Even the day before, I congratulated him at 12 o'clock at midnight. And I went to bed and I went to sleep and I woke up and I forgot to go to his birthday party. And until this day, I feel it. And I found out why. Because he called me and asked me, Dad, are you running late? Everybody's here. I want to have my cake now and I want you to be here. And of course, I lied. And I said, I'm on my way. Something came up, but I'm on my way. I'm almost there. I was devastated. I cried uncontrollably and I sat in my car for 10 minutes. I felt so ashamed. I felt so small. I was there and we had the day, and then my son, at the end of the day, he said, Dad, I know what happened. And it's okay. He hugged me, he gave me a kiss, and he whispered, recovery takes time. remember that to me, you are still and you will always be my super dad. And those moments are hard and those moments are good because they're so important. Their parts are crawling back out of the darkness. And it meant to me understanding and accepting that I became somebody new. Sometimes a forgettable person, but 99% a better version, a softer version, a more relaxed version, but still me, still whole. And that was and is okay. In finding the light within the darkness, even in relationships with loved ones and friends, and things just dramatically changed. Some people really surprised me positively, and some people really surprised me negatively. Some of my friends, they just couldn't handle me and they vanished. And I don't know why, and I've never asked them because they were gone. And some couldn't handle the new person I became, and that is okay too. I became more grounded, I became more relaxed, more peaceful, and I couldn't go out into town anymore. And I couldn't go out for drinks because of my brain injury. I couldn't be in bars and crowded places. Too many people, too many sounds. It's just so many and too many stimuli. And other people, they did show up and they're still here. They showed up with love and silence, and just coming over and sitting with me meant so much to me. They brought me lunch, or sometimes they made me dinner or did the grocery shopping for me because I couldn't do them myself anymore at that point in time. And my big sister even became like, my memory keeper, whispering sometimes or texting me sometimes, like, remember when you, or remember when we. And until I could reclaim a little bit, some fragments back, sadly, I can't have all the fragments back again because of my injury, but that's okay too. And she helped me a lot. Moving on, how trauma work and preventative health helped me. I've called trauma the thief of my identity a lot of times, but in a positive way. And I know it sounds strange, but bear with me. The accident stripped away my old self, and the new self had to emerge. And the old me was business owner, a mover, a shaker. I owned 2 great stores, which I had to part from at the end, but I had 2 great stores. That's the old me. The new me is a feeler, a yogi. The chronic pains and the trauma and the TBI, it literally forced me to stop doing and start being. Preventative health wasn't about avoiding pain in the now. It is about building a hard body that's still soft enough to bend and not break when life hits it. So let me explain. I also approach my trauma with science, hard work, yoga, meditation, breath work, mindfulness, spirituality. It is more about the why all of the above work to me. It's not one thing, it's all of the things that work to me. And a few things science gave me, especially in the beginning, were answers with MRI scans, a lot of talks at the University Medical Center in Groningen, neurological talks, psychological talks about my recovery, where sadly, after 2 years, maybe 3 years, they just told me, we can't help you anymore. You need to live your life knowing that you will not get better. It won't get better than this. Ever. You will not get back to 100% ever again. 70, 80%, that's what you're gonna be. When you're ever in life and you need anything else to raise your cortisol level and your stress levels and your fear levels, oh my God, This is all you truly need from the people who are supposed to be there and help you to feel better, to get better, to tell you you're going to be okay. And those people gave up on me. So I knew I needed to step up and do it myself, all of it. And this is a hard lesson I didn't want to have, but it didn't break me. It gave me back more confidence. It gave me back resilience. It gave me the power to keep going and the ability to know I would never give up. I would never quit. I would never, ever stop. The other parts included spirituality. It gave me back my peace, a peace of my mind, a peace of my silence, and the poetry of breath. I needed to restructure and rebuild me and myself. And you can't map a brain. You can't map the soul. You can't. You can't ignore the inner work either, because it happens inside. Healing is a dance between all of the above. If there would be a lesson about trauma I wish I learned before the accident or sooner, it is that trauma isn't a life sentence. I thought that for a long time. It's an internal dialogue with the self. And sometimes it screams at you, and sometimes it nurses you and it whispers. I've learned that my job isn't to silence those dialogues, but to ask myself, here we go, ask myself, what am I trying to protect myself from? What am I trying to protect myself from? I just need to listen and not to fight the negative. I learned that thoughts, even if they're not positive, are just like clouds. They come and they go. And whichever cloud you give attention will grow. Give it a lot of attention and it can turn into a thundercloud. It darkens your mood. It darkens your feelings. And if you let it become a thunderstorm, it will darken your life. Trust to rely on your feelings way more than your thoughts. Your feelings don't lie to you. They're always spot on. Believe and respect the process and power through. This brings me to a myth about healing for me that I love to debunk. Healing is not linear. It is so not. In the last decade, I had days where I was a phoenix re-rising, and I had days that I was back in the trenches and I was the ashes. In healing, both parts of the same story. And we have to learn how to deal with these parts of the story. I held on every step forward and trusted all the setbacks to knowing that growth and setback is a part of growing. This is why I find it worthful that breath work and blood work and everything between is so important. It is not about one thing. So how did I handle my setbacks knowing I needed to re-rise again and again and again and again and again and get stronger? So what did I do? I started some of my own healing rituals. One of them was sitting on the floor, finding a comfortable seat, lighting a candle, and closing my eyes. And when I closed my eyes, I kept saying, keep it small. These are waves. This is not an ocean. Then I would sit in silence and say, remember that recovery is a beautiful journey to refine self-love and to be present, to be strong, to never give up, to never quit, and to never ever stop learning. Sweet Patrick, surrender isn't a weakness. It is a strategy in your growth. I would do this once, twice a week, to sometimes once a day. And it helped me not to just recalm my thoughts, but to reclaim my body. My body was broken, so reclaiming it was so incredible. Combining all of it, the meditation, the breath work, the mantras, affirmation, the grounding, the mindfulness, and the yoga, it helped me all tremendously. It quieted so many internal storms. And even when my brain felt like a scrambled puzzle, it helped me to find just that one piece of the puzzle, that one part that eventually helped me to see the bigger picture again. I just mentioned yoga and how it helped me after my traumatic brain injury. It was so frustrated and I was so angry on how Western medicine just dropped me that I started looking online and finding out that every time I looked for recovery and healing, I found yoga and Tai Chi. And they both kept popping up. Popping up. And they could help, that's what it said. So I started emailing several schools and asking for help. And out of all the schools, 60, 80, 100 schools, one replied to all my questions. And the others were all auto replies. I had a video call with the owner and the person that started the yoga school. And it was called World Peace Yoga. And the owner, Guru Vishnu, he explained to me how they could help me. And he told me what I needed to do and expected me to come and to go to India to him. And he told me, you need to be here and you need to stay here for 2 months and we'll try to heal and you need to work on you. And all the teachers and the staff will know why you're here and they'll help you and we'll see what we can do. I didn't hesitate. I talked to my son. I got my house in order and I got on the first plane in the first of the month and started my healing adventure in India. I went to Rishikesh and it was a heaven and a hell wrapped all in one present. In upcoming podcast, I will talk to yogis and I'll explain and elaborate more about what I went through and what was going on mentally, emotionally, physically, and how I ended up where I am now in my yoga life and how it changed me, and the time in India taught me to be me again. So Guru Vishnu, I owe you my life. Thank you so much. I learned how to swap handstands for Zavasanas. I renamed warrior pose, survivor pose. Yoga taught me to redefine my strength, not as holding a pose, but as showing up wobbly and staying present in the pose. I think I need to wrap up. I think I'm 23, 24 minutes. While I'm wrapping up, you're probably thinking, damn, he's been talking a lot about himself. So how can you, as a listener, honor your story without, and that's the big part, without comparing it to mine or anybody else's, because there's so many stories. What I would ask you is to start by asking, does his story feel true to me? Because it's not about if it's dramatic enough and if it's a pain contest between your pain and my pain. Because a broken shoulder, a fractured neck, and the lower back isn't better or worse than a broken heart. So please honor your story by refusing to rank it. Don't. And last but definitely not least, I'll share a practice, the ritual that helped me rebuild the trust in my body. 1, each morning, each night. Duma, hey, come. I whisper, thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for keeping me alive, for everything I've learned. And I'm grateful for all the things I'm going to learn tomorrow. Even on days if I hate this, I will do it anyway. My gratitude became my trust, and that trust became an incredible ally. Other practices that I did and that could help is, even on bad days, do this. You can call it a bad day protocol. Okay. Step 1, lay on the floor or on your bed, close your eyes, breathe. Breathe in and out through the nose, in and out, in and out. Even if you cry, it's okay. Step 3, text a friend. I'm in the trenches. Step 4, just be. Don't do anything. Another one is emotional regulation. It's unsexy, but do it. Sit down, close your eyes, set a timer. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I would do 2, and name every frustration you feel. Frustration, guilt, jealousy, boredom, love, envy, trust. Do it for 2 minutes with no judgment, judgment, and no witnessing. It is like decluttering a closet. It is messy, but freeing. Just name them all. What is one thing I wish someone had told me when I started this journey? That joy and grief can coexist. We don't have to fix our pain to feel alive. If there is one thing to take from this all, is I'm not my trauma. I'm not my TBI. I'm not my worst day. I'm the space where healing happens. I think this is it. Tag somebody that's fighting silent battles, because your story isn't over. It's being rewritten one breath at a time. Thank you for trusting me with your ears and your time and your heart. Let's keep making magic together. Crappy ending, but it is what it is.